sorry. Boy, I am tired. I am exhausted. And as you can see, I'm in my car for this week. Mostly because I'm running errands that I personally feel like I should have been excused from by now, but have not been. So I've been taking care of stuff. I had to go to both of my jobs today. They were both just half days, but still, that lighting could be better. Tip for any of you guys who want to steal Brad Jones' shtick of doing reviews out of the car: if there's a lot of light behind you, it washes out your face. I haven't looked this washed out since I was back in my dorm. And you can only see the upper body of me at this point. Yeah. Thankfully, I'm in the car as opposed to back at my room at home, because if I was in there, I'd probably pull the Master Sword off of my wall and make a really bad Senpuku joke. Harakiri! Alright, that out of the way, let's talk our weekly Batman Eternal stuff. No big jokes this week for me, mostly because I'm out of Scribblenauts material to talk about. I do have a couple of issues of World's Finest in there, starring, Huntress and Power Girl. Man, that lighting behind me is really just... It looks like the gates of heaven behind my head right now. Oh yeah, oh Batman. For his is the glory, the power, and the Batman eternal. Amen. I'm looking for anything to remark on right now, because I'm just functionally... boy. I'm running at about 50% power, and on about negative 10% fuel, so it's just steam working me right now. Hopefully some of those clouds will go behind, so now you can see my face much better. That's an improvement, I guess. This guy next to me is about to drive off, so we might hear his motor. There it is. Did the lighting just get worse again? The iPad is noting me I'm down to 10% power, so I should probably actually get to this week's comic. Now, in spite of my complete lack of energy, and in spite of my struggle to form complete, sometimes sentences things, this might be my favorite one thus far. This might beat out 1 and 3 that I've been saying have been my favorite thus far, because, like, this one was implication-y, I guess. It was, more of, like, getting away from what 5 and 6 were doing, where, like, we broke off and, everybody's following their own plot threads. Okay, now we're focused. And it sounds like we're going to be focused for 2 more comics. And that'll be our first post-introduction arc. And then the other arcs will get established, and that'll be good. And I'm looking forward to that, because, like, in spite of giving somewhat negative reviews to issues 5 and 6, I do want to know where both of those stories are going. I just don't want them to interrupt the flow of everything else that's going on. That's all. So, alright. What in the world happened? Batman is pissed. I mean, like, that might sound like a very basic statement, but it's not. Because, I mean, like, at least in my experience, from what... I'm going to adjust myself a little bit here. From what I associate with Batman, Batman is generally... he does get angry. Batman gets very angry. And he often, is snapping and all of that, but it's often very quiet and very reserved. I mean, like, I think a lot of people I was born in 93, so Conroy is my Batman. Kevin Conroy from the animated series, the Arkham games, whatever. He's my Batman, and think about how often you heard him yell. He yelled very little. He had this very angry whisper. He had this very low, very growly whisper, but he very rarely yelled. Bale yelled, yeah, the Assassin's Creed guy, Roger Craig? I'm gonna say Roger Craig, from Arkham Origins, he yelled. And that was fine for that, but, like, Kevin Conroy I just don't associate with yelling, and so I'm, and usually if I'm reading a Batman comic, I'm reading it with the Kevin Conroy voice in mind, so seeing him just so rip-roaring pissed off, he is yelling and screaming like, he wants to know where the detonator is, to make that comparison. It's, it's not that, but it's, he's demanding to know what Falcone's next move is, what is going on, and how it's going to affect his city. And he's just beating criminals' skulls in, leaving them bound up for the GCPD to come pick up. He just lays a pounding, but, like, Falcone is just watching it, kind of, looking like his smug mafia self, like, oh yes, Batman, go right ahead. I own this town already. I've taken my city back. Stuff like that. And, of course, Batman leaves them for the GCPD to pick up, but the GCPD show up, and they're like, they can't accept anything from Batman. They can't accept anything associated with vigilantism. And that's really throwing Bullock for a loop. And Bullock was always the, as far as the animated series went, and that's where I know Bullock best from. I haven't read Gotham Central, I'm disappointed to say, but I hope to read it at some point down the line. But Bullock was always Bullock was usually kind of the Lieutenant Kellaway. Kind of like Lieutenant Kellaway is in The Mask, like, if he's helping people, great, but I don't like that he exists. Bullock has never struck me as a character who likes that Batman exists. And it doesn't really want to work with him, but now that he's being told, don't work with him, it's kind of freaking him out. He's like, we're just supposed to let these guys run free? That's stupid. There's no way we can do that. And he's right. But, they're not able to take Falcone's men in. And that's really rough. So there's that. Vicky Vale picks up Jason Bard for an interview. She talks to him about, being selected by Gordon and this incident at a payphone, which I didn't realize it was a payphone until a few pages in. Otherwise, I probably would have connected the dots a lot faster. We see the events. We see a flashback to 2 days before. I got this sore on my mouth I keep picking at. I'm sorry for that. This flashback to 2 days before, and that was the first real moment where I sat here like, alright, what's the time frame on this comic now? Because I realize, I'm having a little trouble following how much is going on. So, 2 nights before was the night when Stephanie snuck in to her dad's house and got attacked by Man in the Shadows. So that happened 2 nights ago. It's been 2 days since then. And was that I don't remember. That may or may not have also been the same night as the subway crash. I don't think so. I don't think it was, but... And Gordon's been on trial since then. It's like... It feels like this is happening over a week at most, and it's been 2 months! You want me to accept that this is happening in a week? Not with this time scale, it's feeling a little confusing. I need a timeline here. I'm fine with this being over the course of 1 week. That's fine, but, like, I need a firmer grasp of where we are. At least in Naruto, for all of its faults, at least I do know that I've been on the same 2 days for about the last 4 years. Jeez, it might have been that long. I'm just sitting here, like, trying to do the math. Toby's mask broke a year and a half ago now. And they were fighting the Fourth Ninja War for like another year and a half before that or something. Criminy. Naruto, pick up the pace, man. If you haven't read this week's Naruto, which is number 678, I highly recommend it. But we're talking about Batman. Getting off track here. Back to Batman Eternal. Okay. So it's 2 days since Stephanie walked in on supervillain meeting, and the Clue Master said he was going to kill her. And we see footage of Crystal talking to the Clue Master, and unfortunately, one of the things I really didn't want to happen in this series did happen. Like, you know, I read the post-comic interview MTV did with John Layman. I'm really shocked that I looked into that. I hate MTV, but I mean, if they're going to present me with good information on this series, well, I mean, they can do something. So they talked to John Layman, who is the primary writer on this issue, and they asked him, you know, so what was up? What was this, and this? And he mentioned that he talked about Crystal Brown in the New 52 universe, and she's used to living the good life and not willing to lose that, even at the cost of endangering her daughter. And it's like, thanks a lot. You guys made Crystal Brown a bitch. That's a character I really, really like, too. I mean, I already said that, but, I mean, I personally don't like it when... I don't like it when a sympathetic character is revamped to be unsympathetic. Boy, I'm not going to go into the history of Crystal Brown right here, because, like, I mean, no matter how you slice it, she is a side character. She is still, like, you know, the Spoiler's daughter, Spoiler's mother, Batgirl's mother, you know, whoever Stephanie is playing that week. But she was always, you know, you saw her struggle too. She was a drug addict, a recovering alcoholic. You know, she had to work really hard to get her nursing degree back. She was worried about her kid, the fact that her husband was a small-time criminal. Although, like, you know, this really feels like he's trying to... The fact that this plan to burn Gotham that she's totally okay with it, says, like, you know, well, there must be some massive profit in it for her and him, but... I don't like it when comics do that. I don't like it when any story does that. I'm just fine. It's better. It is much better, in my opinion, to take a character who is unsympathetic and make them sympathetic than to take a character who is sympathetic and make them unsympathetic. It's just... that hurt me, but give it a few weeks. I'm sure I'll get past it. And so Stephanie is... It's amazing how, like, you know... And this isn't discouragement to the writing. The writing's still really good. And not to say I dislike this, because I do like it. She's definitely got an arc going. There's a lot going on for her right now. But it's just funny to me how I'm remembering, you know... It used to be... I read comics that featured Stephanie. I would read the Robin-ish. I would read the 90s Robin. And I would read, you know, the 2000s Batgirl. The 2009 to 2011 Batgirl. It used to be when I read Stephanie Brown stuff, the intent was, you know... let's have a good time. Let's do something lighter and softer. And let's crack a lot of jokes. Let's have some silliness here and there. But let's still tell a compelling story. And now... Steph's probably got, like, the most dark, depressing story of the bunch right now. Maybe only because we haven't seen what's going on with Gordon and Alan Moore. Who am I kidding? If Gordon's rooming with Alan Moore, he's probably having an awesome time. Did I ever tell you about the time I was on The Simpsons? It was a fantastic experience. Do we have to do this? I'm trying to sleep. You know, they actually painted my skin yellow, but they put all the rings on my fingers. I don't know what Alan Moore would say in a jail cell. No, Gordon's undoubtedly having a great time with Alan Moore and one-eyed crazy Russian woman. Zabatos, Zardoz, something like that. The human female version of Wolf O'Donnell from Star Fox. Her. Anyway, I get off topic so easily here. So Steph's calling her mom. She says, it's been 45 minutes. Where are you? And she's terrified. She's like sobbing still. And like the clue master says, I've sent someone there to deal with her. And then you see this guy come up right outside the toll booth, being like, get out of there, girl. And he throws her out of the toll booth, and promptly goes into the toll booth and starts making a call. And there's a drive-by shooting. And he just gets axed like nothing. We don't even see Stephanie's reaction. She just jumps out of the way. Oh, Lord. It's horrible, but I laughed at that part, because it's just like, how convenient! That could have ended disastrously, but it didn't. Oh, lucky break. Lucky break for my favorite character. Thank God for issue 28, because, I would otherwise think DC was trolling me and just looking for the first opportunity to, and think DC just wanted to keep screwing around with me and being like, are we gonna kill her this time? Are we gonna kill her this time? Are we gonna kill her this time? And maybe Black Mask would show up in there for good measure, so he'd sit there and be like, shit! I'm in a public parking spot. I am waiting for someone to come to the window and be really offended that I'm screaming obscenities from the backseat of my car. That would be great, because the windows are open, because it's hot. It's not as hot as it was back in issue 5, but it is hot. So that's a huge summary of Steph's stuff, which only took up 2 pages. But moving on from that. Batman had done his research, and he found out Falcone was hiding out in Hong Kong for the last few years. So Batman's going to go to Hong Kong to see what was going on there. Falcone apparently had a powerful, empire there, and he left it to come back to Gotham. So why? So Batman's going to go investigate Hong Kong. This really got me interested, admittedly, because, now storylines are starting to converge. Because, the big players here right now, I don't count Pig and Penguin. Pig and Penguin might become bigger players later. But right now, they're kind of on the fringe. It's so funny that I'm talking about characters named Pig and Penguin. But right now, the major players are Blackfire, Falcone. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit, like I probably should have minutes ago. Blackfire, Falcone, Hannibal Elliot. That's his name. That white guy hanging out in Hong Kong, his name is Hannibal Elliot. He's, like I said, he looks like Hannibal Chow meets Sam Elliott, so his name is Hannibal Elliot. And, man in the background, man in the shadows, who, could already, he might have already shown up, but if he did, he was in the background, obscured, something like that, so that it wasn't really obvious. Just to take a second-month guess at who he could be, if Blackfire wasn't such the center of attention in some of these events, I would say he could be Blackfire, but I don't think he is. And this is also the 75th anniversary celebratory issue. Celebratory series, whatever. So, probably not Blackfire. It could be the Joker, but he's got... This isn't his style. It's not his style to hide back in the shadows and be so mellow like we've seen him be. It could be Ra's al Ghul, but that would be abandoning the fact that in Batman Incorporated, Al Ghul had an army of fully cloned Damian clones waiting to sick on the Batman Incorporated group. So, I'm going to say it's probably not Al Ghul. My best guess right now, and no guarantee, but I'm going to say it might be Doctor Strange. Might be Doctor Strange, because Strange is an enemy of Batman's that is almost as old as the character himself. Strange is older than Catwoman. Strange is older than the Joker. Strange is, I believe, the oldest published Batman villain currently in who currently exists. So it might be Strange, but it might not be. It could be Prometheus, but that feels... The more I think about it, that might not be a bad guess. Prometheus, Prometheus loves destruction. He is highly anti-authority, which means, it seems like he would be happy to see... Whoa! That messed up. Happy to see Gotham destroyed. It could be anarchy, but this is not anarchy's style either. This does feel kind of Prometheus-y, though. So, I'm gonna say, of the possible candidates, I think this might be Prometheus. And Prometheus, while not a classic Batman villain, he is a reflection of Batman himself. He does come from a very similar background, and he is very much the anti-Batman. So, that could work. That could be really interesting. I'm curious to see how that develops. And I like Prometheus as a villain a lot. Prometheus is a very, very good villain. So, I would be okay with that. But we'll see how that evolves. And nothing necessarily indicates that, I'm sure they want us to think Man in the Shadows in issue 3 is Unseen Man at the end of Gotham in issue 1. But, I'm taking that with a grain of salt. It might not be. It could be, they are not necessarily the same person. They seem to speak rather similarly, and they have a similar goal, but they are not necessarily the same person. I don't believe that they are necessarily the same person. So, Batman's gonna go to Hong Kong, see what's going on there. He'll probably bump into Hannibal Elliot. Jason Todd's over in Hong Kong, too, so we'll see how that develops. I still don't know why he's there, but Red Hood's hanging out in Hong Kong, so we'll see where that goes. But before he heads over to Hong Kong, he stops by the GCPD where Forbes and Jason Bard are waiting for him. And because Forbes had lit up the bat signal. Batman wasn't even aware that the police weren't on his side anymore when he brought some criminals in. He wanted to know, why are they free? And Alfred just told him, the police aren't taking them in anymore, sir. So he goes to Forbes, and Batman basically offers, we don't have to be enemies. You don't have to be my enemy. I work things out with Gordon. I'm willing to work things out with you. I can help you bring down the crime in Gotham. I still want to do this. Batman's being extremely reasonable. Forbes has a whole SWAT team there to take him down. But Bard reveals, Bard shows his loyalty. Bard proves why Gordon chose him. And, he sets off false alarm in the SWAT team, and they fire smoke grenades so Batman escapes in the Batwing, and he's flying off to Hong Kong. And so Bard had a good moment to prove himself there, and I like him more as a result. I didn't dislike him anyway, but now I get what kind of a character he is. And he's not, standing up for Batman to Forbes. He says, I'm sorry, I've never seen him before. I freaked out, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to waste our opportunity. But, he's underhanded. He's working with... he wants things to work out for Batman, and that's a sign of a good character, and so I like Bard all the more for that. So Batman escapes this great confrontation. It was very good to see Forbes face off with Batman before he flies off to Hong Kong. And as he's getting there, there's a woman who's using this machinery to stand on the water, and she sees him and she recognizes him, but we, the reader, don't know who she is. And I was actually under the impression that she was Shiva. I thought she was going to be Lady Shiva, introduced in the New 52, because I don't think she's turned up yet. But no, according to, according to Layman, she's a new character, and after the next 2 weeks, she's going to be all we're talking about. So that's interesting. Let's see where that goes. I'm still holding out for Shiva to turn up, because if Shiva turns out, Cassandra might turn up, and I really want Cassandra back in my Batman books. Oh, Cassie, I miss you so bad. It's wonderful to have Steph back, and when she becomes spoiler, it'll be even better. But, damn it, I do want Cassie back too, because Cassie is just another wonderful character who I can't imagine celebrating the 75th anniversary of Batman without. I don't care if she was made in the 90s, she's still left a big impact in that time. In my opinion, she left a bigger impact as Batgirl than Barbara Gordon did in her original tenure. But, I don't know, that's just me. That's just growing up since 1993 and all that. Hopefully Steph will get back. Hopefully Steph will be in her initial costume soon. I don't know where she is right now. She's probably homeless, more or less, looking for anyone to try and hide away with. If she gets into the slums, she'll probably bump into Tim, and great, Tim and Steph can start interacting. I hope that happens. That's my prediction right now. She's going to bump into him, and that's going to start something, and then we can get back to my favorite romantic couple. Maybe she's a lesbian in this universe, I don't know. That would be such sad irony. So, that was Batman Eternal Issue 8. I'm down to 5% battery. Good, because I'm just finishing this review. Overall, I liked this one a lot. I'm really looking forward to seeing who that mysterious Asian woman over in Hong Kong is. I'm looking forward to seeing how the story develops. I'm looking forward to seeing how things are going to progress. So, hopefully Layman's right, and she is all I'm going to be talking about for the next 2 weeks. Until then, stay tuned for more episodes. Thanks for listening.